dog nut in the family, and it doesn't help that I don't have a good relationship with him because he's a shitty dad. He's an abusive dad. My mom, she doesn't hate them, but she kind of thinks of dogs in the old style of thinking, where dogs are meant to lie on the floor outside and not in the furniture inside, and if it bites, put it down.
She's a normal person.
Yeah, she's a normal person.
It sounds generally that's the way things used to be around here. Was like people weren't like obsessed with them, and most people had common sense. They were normal people. It was like, oh well, some people have a dog in the backyard. He's got a dog house, and if he bites a child, we kill him.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So he's a big old dog nut then, huh?
Yeah.
And just to touch base real quick so everybody knows, you're from Malaysia and you're Canine Critic, and I'm over here in the United States, and this is Dogs Are Garbage. And we're going to start out talking about the issues of dealing with family and friends and how you go about that, because you can isolate yourself by being... I know a lot of people that are so militant and obsessed with their hatred of dogs, not that it's a bad thing. But I know a lot of people that are so into it that they can't even, like, be around family that have them. And, then there are others that are, like, a little more accepting and understanding that we can't change everybody, And you're saying that he's basically an abusive, dog-loving weirdo, so I'm assuming, like, the dogs get better treatment than most people in the house?
Well, to start, the rest of us, we are called A or you, and the dogs, they get called by their names.
And they wonder how we end up hating these things. Yeah, it's you're basically being placed on a tier lower than a dog. That's rough. And so I'm assuming he's probably the guy who takes care of everything around there for the most part. Generally, men are, the breadwinners, and so they get to call the shots on these kinds of things. And I'm constantly hearing people talking about older ladies or women with dogs, and I'm like, well, yeah, but, a lot of times I find the men that are the head of the household, if you will, are the ones that are so obsessed that the rest of us basically have to bend to their will.
Well, the funny thing is that my mom is the breadwinner, and she pays all the bills.
Really?
Yeah.
Ain't life funny?
And my mom, I love her, bless her heart, but I don't know what she sees in him. I don't know why she loves him.
Well, it's odd, too, because if she's the one, that's paying for everything, and dog hatred aside, because like you said, she has what we would call an old school view on dogs. And, but she just loves him, and, I find that a lot. It's the weirdest thing. And there are a lot of people on the channel that have a boyfriend or a girlfriend with a dog, or they live with their parents that have dogs, and they have to live around them. And I think that's really where a lot of their hatred comes from.
Yeah, I think so. It's when these things are in your life. I don't think anyone has, really developed a deep-seated hatred for them if they never had one and they just, saw them sometimes. I mean, there are people like that. I'm not trying to write them off.
No, just very few.
What really gets to you is when you have to live with them.
Yep. And for me, it was training them. Throughout the years of training dogs. And
yeah. Seeing them every day in your life, because of your job.
It was just watching them be so damned stupid. And their inability to learn, and then second to that being they just couldn't learn, couldn't do anything right, and then if you, train them and get them moving, and then the human messes it all up, because they won't continue the work. They just, it's the humanization. Where we went past old school owning a dog and he lived outside to bringing them indoors and treating them like humans, snuggling, touching them, rubbing against them, and making them more of a member of the family when it's literally just a critter. So would you say that that's where your dislike and hatred of dogs comes from? Is your home environment?
Uh, so the situation with the dogs isn't as bad as some other situations are. Like at least they don't sit on the bed or the furniture. But the first dog did get all the special treatments, and other dogs after him were treated relatively normal. But the first dog is the one that I can't stand because of how spoiled he was.
Yeah, I know the type.
uh, he was the quote unquote practice child. Like as if a dog is anything like taking care of a kid.
I hate that. Every time someone says that to me, I say, oh, yeah, because I leave my son in the kennel when I go to work every day. Just hand him a bowl of food and everyone's like, oh, you know what I mean? He's like my child. It's like my child. And I'm like, let me tell you something. That ain't nothing like a child. Okay, children progress. They get better. They learn. And I truly despise when they try to say, like, a dog is as smart as a 3-year-old child or this and that. No, the hell it's not. Okay, it's never going to get any more intelligent. I used to tell people when I would train, like, it's weird because you must be like a masochist or some type of needy weirdo to go pick up a critter that will never get any smarter and keep it around and feed it and spend tons of money on it.
I know, right? It's like, okay, maybe dogs are kind of like children in the first, few months of their life because they're pooping everywhere, they're making lots of noise, they need a lot of food, they wake you up. But then children grow out of that relatively fast. They learn to use the bathroom by themselves. And here they're still taking Fido out at 6 in the morning and watching him take a hot, stinking deuce on the sidewalk.
Not to mention, children grow up and pass on your genetic heritage. They take care of you
and they become productive members of society. They work, they become teachers or doctors, or basically anything they do is better than what the dog does.
Right. And I feel that, I know a lot of people have talked about this, but I can't help but touch on the subject. I feel that dog love and dog obsession is a huge mental disorder. And it comes from some need to have something around that you can control and dote and put all your time into.
Most definitely.
For example, my son...
My dad is pretty much the textbook definition of that. He is very controlling when we were at that stage of growing up, me and my sister, of rebelling and, not being so good at listening. And that's when he was the most abusive towards us because he couldn't stand that.
Yep, my mother too, and she actually fully confessed. And then, where my mother had never, been into dogs or wanted one, when we reached the age that we started thinking for ourselves, that's when she went and started getting dogs. And it's so strange to me because you're supposed to want that. You raise children to become independent, free thinkers, to become successful. And for people that have control issues and narcissists, the moment that happens, they feel this desire to go and get something else that they can control. Something that will never outgrow them. So where people like you and I sit back and go, man, why would you want to get something that's never going to progress or get any more intelligent? That's exactly what they're looking for. They want something that's never going to outgrow them. I had my mother literally look at me one day when it came to my last sister. And she said, because she was overfeeding her. And I said, why are you feeding? Oh, we lost the call. Let's hold tight and see if she's going to call right back. Because I'm sure it's service and connection and everything is. So, let's see. Lost you. And I'm no good at editing yet. I'll learn how to do this. But for now, we're just going to hang tight for a couple minutes and see if we can get her back on the phone. Do, 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 do. Elevator music. I should have brought a fluffy or something to screw around with to keep everybody's attention here. Lame. Let me try to call her back. So she's trying to call me back. I'm trying to call her back. So here's what we can do. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh. All right, we're in there.
Okay.
We're going to run into that. But she straight up looks at me and says that she's overfeeding my sister because all of us, quote-unquote, skinny ones were able to leave. And if she keeps this one fat, she'll never be able to get away. And she was mentally slowing her down as well. And I was like, what? Oh, no. We lost it again. So, here, I'm going to send her the link to my Facebook. Okay. Alright, I sent you the link to my Facebook too, in case we keep running into problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case. But anyways, she was so sick that, you know, that was her answer for all of that. And it's just disturbing. You shouldn't be holding your own child back. But later on down the line, I was able to associate that with her controlling nature.
Yeah, it does, my God. I have no words. That's fucked up.
It's...
That's really fucked up.
You know, though, I could say this. She was able to be honest about it. I hate her. She's a terrible person. But most people would never tell the truth about something like that. They would just play it off. I have a friend whose ex-wife does that with their son. And she will never admit it, though. And she has dogs and controlling issues over her son. Both. It's odd. Yeah, as humans, we're supposed to be teaching our children the best and to become something in life. And some people are just so sick and insecure.
I don't understand these people. What do they think about when they decide, well, yeah, I think I'm going to have a child? Do you think it's going to be easy? Do you think you'll get everything you want in life? Because every time I hear things like this, I'm thinking, if you hate children so much, why did you have them? Why are you making these poor kids suffer?
A lot of these people don't even choose to have them. You know, out of all the children my mother and father had together, I was the only one they planned on. And the rest were accidents, quote unquote. They still weren't any good to any of us. They had no business having children in the first place. Now, granted, I'm glad they did. I'm here, you know, but they were not happy. She was not happy. She was not mothering. My mother did not have mothering skills. And I had to battle with that throughout life to be able to become a good mother. And I actually raised my sister as well. And we've talked about it before. And she's like, you know, the amount of psychological damage that I had to overcome to be able to become a mother when I had never seen one. I didn't know what it meant.
I have a lot of respect for you in that case. I know what it's like as well, you know, trying not to be like your parent that was very toxic towards you.
Yes, and you'll
deal... Some of my father's anger issues rubbed off on me, and I think I'm making good progress because I go to a therapist where he's never had any of his issues addressed or treated.
That's important. I'm all about going to therapy. I went to tons of therapists when I was younger, and yeah, you have to be able to outgrow that. And I understand some people can't. You know, I have a brother whom is still all messed up, and he's a little older than me, and he just can't get over his traumas. And he would have been a really great person. Fortunately, he never had children. So there's no one to have to deal with that. But yeah, I don't understand. And you know, once again, the world and life is different as it used to be, where you would have children and you'd take care of them and plant the seed and be ready for your heritage to be passed on and to be proud. If they don't like what you're doing, they just cut you off and they'll go get a dog.
Yeah.
How many dogs does your father have?
Oh, well, 0 now.
Oh, snap.
My mom finally put her foot down. She said, no more dogs.
Oh, man, that's wonderful.
Yeah, but before that, the most we've had at once was 3. And let me tell you, 3 is plenty enough. That's 3 too much, in fact.
3 is 3 too many. I had a neighbor that had 27. 27.
They were all golden retrievers, all had health issues, all sorts of weird shit like tumors all over the body,
Ooh.
scoliosis. The worst one was this female dog, this bitch, if you would.
Yes.
She had this yeast skin infection on her groin area and would scoot herself on the floor. Thank God we didn't have carpet, but she would do that. And the entire place just stank of her yeast infection.
Oh.
It was ghastly.
Oh, I've seen people with stuff like this. There was the video I made about scabies, and my friend's boss, his dog has demodeptic mange, or sarcoptic mange, which passes to humans, and he's over there scratching, the dog's scratching. It's just, oh my God, it's disgusting. I don't understand these people. And the way they will chase these things up and down the street, they buy them medication, they'll put them on pharmaceutical meds, they'll let them roll around the house with all these health issues, and that's also very strange to me. Long ago, when you had a dog that was unhealthy, we'd put it down. Now, when I talked with Cooking with Dog Meat, with Chef, we had discussed that too, people aren't breeding for strong genetics anymore. They're just breeding these things whether they should be out there or not. And then you get all these health issues, and those dogs should be put down.
Yeah, and you know what gets to me is when you argue against this shitty breeding, and people say, oh, would you put autistic children down then?
Once again.
And it's like, hello, do people purposely breed autistic children because you're cute? Use your fucking brain.
Yep. And I don't know if anybody's ever stopped to recognize this. My son has a form of autism, but he just has learning disabilities. I'm very fortunate because he could be super mentally, behind or retarded, as one may say. Yeah. I know it's not a friendly word. I'm very, very fortunate, but nobody stops to think about how low the quality of life is for those children. And what happens down the line when their parents die and they end up getting thrown into a home. So, first of all, these dogs aren't children. And number 2, you cannot compare the two. And if that's your explanation, then we shouldn't have been breeding. At least that's breeding we can control. This is not the same thing.
I think the equation that dogs are furry children is so deeply ingrained into these crazy people that they just can't let go of it.
Yep. Brainwashing, indoctrination. They've been teaching us and jamming this stuff in our face since we were young. Ban All Dogs had made a video yesterday about movies like Milo and Otis and Homeward Bound. And then we started talking about Pound Puppies and Fox and the Hound. All these wild-ass movies that basically get children hooked on these things. You grow up feeling like you're doing something good for them, or you're a dog rescuer, or like myself, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go out there and train these dogs. I want them to be better members of society. I can change these things that are bad about them. I was one of those people that was like, it's not the dog, it's the owner. I was one of those nut jobs. And over time and research and watching and farmers that would literally be like, the dog ain't no good, put it down. It bit someone, put it down. The dog can't listen to direction, put it down. And at first I was like, God, all they want to do is kill them all. This is so strange. And then as the years went on, I'm like, man, we should just kill this dog. Yeah, that dog too. That one too. And everyone's like, what'd that one do? I'm like, I don't know, but let's just kill it. Like, it's just, this is out of control. Let's get these things out of the gene pool. And there are so few dog owners that actually care about wildlife and other humans, or keeping the stupid things on a leash, or actually training them. And as anybody knows, even if you train a dog, it's always has the potential to snap. They are free-thinking, genetically mutated predators that are not capable of the things people are trying to make them. They're not humans. They don't love. They're not receptive to affection. They're covered in parasites and people touching all over them. I can't stand that.
Exactly. I don't get it. We are keeping these things, and then we are training them to not do the things that they naturally do, and we've been domesticating them for thousands of years, and they are still doing the shit that we don't want them to do. So,
yep.
And the reasonable option then is to not keep them as pets.
Right. And I love it because they claim to love them, but they cannot respect the critter for what it is. They're like, man, this thing won't stop digging holes in my yard. Well, it's supposed to. It's a freaking dog. This thing keeps barking. Yes, they bark. They're dogs. Hey, dug through the trash. They're scavengers. That's what they do. He keeps pissing on things. Yes, they scent mark. If this thing wasn't in society and we had left the wolf and the African wild dog alone in the very first place, which even then people culled them to keep the population down.
Nice. And, you look at them now, that I think there's no way else to go but to just cull all the dogs that don't have owners, and then those who do have owners, force them to get their dogs castrated or whatever, or you take them away and put them down. And so this, just they phase out of existence, because there is no way you can reverse all the fucked up things we've done to them.
Nope.
I just think we've been breeding them for so long that they develop all these issues that we can't avoid anymore. It's so intrinsic into their breed, their being, that you can't get rid of it.
No. And so I've addressed this a couple times, and I've had some dog owners be like, yeah, well, it'll be a cold day in hell for you break in my door and take my dog. And I'm like, look, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is no more breeding. All the dog owners, like you said, have to have their dogs spayed and neutered so they can't breed anymore. You should have to pay to have professionals come and clean up their shit. The largest complaint I get from people is having to live around their neighbor's dog shit. Okay, now in fancy neighborhoods, they pay for fecal removal companies. I think anyone who has a dog should have to pay for that service. If you cannot afford it, you don't need a dog in the first place. This is a biohazard that needs to be collected and dealt with properly. If you own a dog right now, we'll grandfather you in, and when that dog dies, that's it. Because there are no more breeding. We're not doing this anymore, and let this species die down and just be rid of it. Be rid of the dog menace. No more reading articles about children and people being mauled. No more.
Exactly. The risks far outweigh the pros, because like what do dogs do? I guess some people like looking at them, like touching them. Are you really going to tell me? I'm this like service dogs as well, but I'm sure our technology is advanced enough at this point to make robot dogs If for whatever reason they want it to be dog shaped, then sure, go ahead. But at least robot dogs don't bite people or shed hair all over the fresh produce when they go into supermarkets. But anyway.
No, it's a great point.
You're going to tell me that because some people like touching them, like looking at them, that is worth hundreds of thousands of people getting mauled and dying of their diseases or getting disfigured.
Also, you can look at and pet a dog.
Yeah.
It is selfish, and like you said, the risks outweigh the benefits, okay? And basically all these people have to go to the emergency room. Homeowners insurance skyrockets. It's the largest payout for any homeowner's insurance is for dogs, okay? We all have to suffer through the smell of their feces, picking up their parasites, dealing with all the diseases they spread, the attacks, the humping, the loose dogs, off leash, the decimation of our parks and waterways, contamination of grass and soil, all so these nut jobs can look at and pet dogs.
And, you bring the dog bite statistics up to people, and they go, oh, well, snakes bite more people every year. What are you going to do? Ban snakes? Well, no, you nut job. You can't ban snakes. What's going to happen to the balance of the ecosystem? You ban dogs, nothing happens. In fact, things flourish.
Yep. They don't care, though. It's all about Fluffy. And my favorite argument that they have is, oh, humans attack. Should we be banning all humans? I'm like, no, Nimrod. We need our own species. In fact, it sounds like you could use some conversation and some love from a human. But you're not going to get it acting like this.
And they say these things like as if it's the most sage thing that has ever been said in the history of humanity. Like, oh yeah, I sure showed that dog hater.
Someone commented the other day on my page and go, why don't you shut the hell up and get off this platform? Girl built like a broomstick. And I was all, oh boy. And then said wrinkles, called me wrinkles. And I was like, dude, everybody wrinkles as they get older. I bet you've got some wrinkly shitty dog that you make love with every night. Now, I didn't say that. I simply said, ooh, you showed me, you know what I'm saying? Oh, watch out, oh no. It's stupid. These people are so idiotic. And you're mad at me for saying facts. The funny part was, I didn't say anything vicious toward dogs in that video. All I did was say facts. And they're like so angry. And I'm like, you're just mad that I'm telling people what they do.
Exactly. You just say the slightest thing that is not praising Fido, and they're all up in arms, like with their pitchforks and their torches. Like when I was in face-to-face learning in university, and we were given this topic for an impromptu speech. Not really a topic. We were learning how to construct a speech, and they said, using this knowledge, construct whatever speech you want. It can't be vulgar though, and it can't be political. And I was talking about how it's a taboo to not like dogs. And I didn't even say anything very inflammatory. I just said some people are allergic to them, and some people just plain don't like them, and that's fine. And this girl, since we are encouraged to ask the speaker question, this girl, she asked me this question. It's like, she asked me, how do you sleep at night, knowing that you don't like dogs? And I said, I sleep like a baby.
I don't understand. And they don't even have anything intelligent to say.
Yeah.
They're just mad that you don't like them. How do you sleep at night, Canine Critic?
Well, I prefer to sleep on my side, facing the right.
I always tell them, butt-ass naked with a pillow between my legs. I'm doing just fine.
Yeah.
It's stupid, silly. How do I sleep at night not liking dogs? Well, I don't breathe in dander and fecal matter. I don't have asthma. Actually, in one of my future videos, that's what I'm going to cover. I don't know if you caught the other day, I was reading up. Children that are raised around dogs actually develop their bacteria in their microbiome.
Oh, well, I guess I'm fucked.
We are, I bet I am too. I was raised around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I'm glad I don't have asthma then.
I have had problems with asthma. I developed a couple different health issues throughout my life that were respiratory related. You know, and if our microbiome is being altered and changed, and now it has these diseases in it, and we already have all these other different things, environmental contaminants in our system, and then we go on and have children with weakened DNA.
Yeah, you're right about that. And that just reminded me this crazy shit that my dad used to say and still says is that, oh, you know, the reason why you guys don't get sick often is because you were raised around dogs, so it strengthens your immunity.
Yep. That's an old myth people try to push. I've even read that in like dog loving articles where they're like, that's a myth, that's not true. You know, you shouldn't be letting the dog lick. You shouldn't be breathing in. It needs to be a clean area. And they try to tell these dirty bastards, even the pro dog loving channels and pages and articles, you know, oh, don't do, you know, but these people, they live in this old narrative. A dog's mouth is cleaner than a human's. It'll help your immune system to be around a dog. No, it helps your immune system to be out in nature, to play with mud. But even then, if the mud is laced with dog feces, that's not good.
Exactly. It's like we have this nephew, and he's sensitive to a lot of things, furry creatures especially, and we take it as it's just coincidental that he has these bunch of allergies. But I know that he's allergic to furry creatures because he didn't grow up around their filth. So now he's introduced to their filth. Of course he's going to have an adverse reaction. And my dad is like shit-talking this poor boy. Like, his parents raised such a little weakling.
Like, you know, you're a bit weak too. It's your need and dependency to have dogs around when you literally have a family that needs you. And all you can think about is Fluffy. It's hard though. A lot of people don't want to argue and don't want the problems. A lot of people's families don't even know that they dislike them. I've talked to a couple people that are like, well, I had to walk down the street to call you. And I'm like, is this because your family doesn't know how you feel about the dogs? And they're like, oh yeah, and if I said anything, my mom would throw me out. My mom threw me out of the house when I was younger for saying something about her dog.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty lucky that my mom wears the pants in this house because my dad, yeah, I once said something bad about the dog, and she said, if you keep saying that, you're going to live outside like a dog.
To your own children.
Yeah, to your own children.
I've never understood this mental illness, and as I've always told my sister, we're not meant to understand. When you don't understand something, you're just not going to, because they just have a mental illness. It drives me crazy, though, and I get it, man. People love dogs. I will never quite understand holding them above your children, treating your kids like that, throwing them out of the house if they disagree with you. I mean, you have intelligent, wonderful, free-thinking people that are literally carrying on your genetic heritage, and you're angry with them. I don't understand.
I don't get it either. My mom is actually the more interesting of my parents because she doesn't love dogs. She doesn't hate them. But she does tell me to keep my dog hate to myself. Not because it unnerves her. It's just because, like I covered in my video, the interview with Chef, is that he has this traditional Asian way of thinking, is that you can't disturb the peace. Like, you can have controversial opinions as long as you keep them to yourself and you don't rock the boat.
Yes. I've seen, and look, I understand. Like I said, a lot of people don't want drama in the home. You don't want the arguing. Obviously, this is something your father's very passionate about. Also, you're supposed to honor thy father and mother and all these things.
Yeah.
Now, traditionally, it would be do everything they ask, don't ask any questions, never speak out of turn. These days, we're a little more independent and free thinking. But like your mother said, it's not like you want to rock the boat or stir the pot.
Yeah.
Interesting. I
do hope you guys soon. So, yeah, it's just, we've had years of keeping dogs, and now that they're gone, the smell isn't gone.
No.
I still smell it. Holy shit, it's just... And also, although we don't have dogs, the neighbors have dogs, and they bark every day. And then every night, at the same time, around 7 o'clock, they fight, and they make those pathetic yelping noises. And they do it every night. I'm just sitting here thinking, don't you idiots get tired of this? You do this all the time. One of you gets your shit kicked in, and it happens the next night.
Most people find it cute, and I'll never understand that. So, what is the environment there in Malaysia with these critters? How do people react to it? Is it like a dog-loving culture there, like Canada, the UK, and the United States has been taken over with these things? Every person around me's got the damn things. Is it the same there?
No. Like I said, it's in the transition stages. So it's mostly the younger people that like dogs, or the very Americanized Malaysians, which are like my father, because he spent 7 years in the U.S., and he must have caught the dog bug when he was over there and brought it back here. So he's actually a rarity. There aren't many people his age who are dog obsessed. But and because of our history as a multi-ethnic country, there are like some pockets in the state that are exclusively Malaysian Chinese, exclusively Malaysian Indian, and exclusively Malay, which are the original peoples of Malaysia.
Okay, interesting.
So, of course, the Malays, they don't like dogs because they are also Muslims. Most Malays are Muslims, but not all of them.
Yeah.
And the government takes them more seriously when they say, we want this dog out of here. Then the city council workers come and they take the dog away. But when we say, we don't want this dog here, and they're like, oh, well, try calling us on a Friday or something. And then when you come, the dog has to be there, and the dog has to be performing those exact disruptive behaviors you were describing to us on the phone.
That's about how they do it here. And then there are more laws to protect fluffies than there are protecting humans. And in specific states like Texas, and I know Washington's the same way, you can do anything you want when it comes to livestock. So you can kill them on sight if you need to, and there's no questions asked. They'll never ask a question. But they have like a one bite law in Texas, so this meaning basically like if a dog comes and attacks my son and I, then we just have to grin and bear it and deal with it. If that same dog does it a second time, then we're allowed to raise Cain about it then. But if it's cattle, or if you see someone stealing a car, or you see any sexual assault taking place, you're allowed to shoot a human or a dog on sight. It's crazy.
Holy shit, that's mad.
It's wild stuff. It really is, and I've dealt with it several times. And it's cattle, and this all really over and over again comes down to money. They make tons of money off of these things, and they don't want their interests to be tampered with. And just because you or I or anybody else is upset about it, they could give a crap less.
Yeah. Uh, so the thing is about this dog culture in Malaysia is that because of the rise of it, we are getting things that we have never seen in this country before. Like the IKEA here, the biggest IKEA in my city, you can bring a dog, and the dog can sit on the furniture. The dog can sit on the beds for display, and they won't bat an eye.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. I'm truly saddened to hear how much the West has affected the rest of the world. And when it comes to this or fast food industries and just pet love in general, and people just eat it up. And now we're stopping activities that are taking place in other countries that we literally don't have any business putting our nose in. And we sit here and protest and riot, but we can all sit here and have all the evidence in the world of how much damage these things do, and nobody gives a shit about that.
Exactly, and uh, you know, on social media, there are a lot of people. I feel pressured to go like, oh no, we Asians we don't eat dogs. You know, we're not bad Asians. And I'm like, why do you have to apologize? Some of us do. Uh, like we really do, and there's nothing bad about it. Instead of like trying to do damage control, so to speak, like why don't we put our efforts into destigmatizing eating dog?
Right, right. And, every country is dealing with starvation and some type of poverty and food instability. And we're sitting around feeding these things. They made it to where you can buy dog food with your food stamps in the United States during the pandemic. No one said anything. But all of the people were carrying on beforehand about people getting food stamps in the first place. So that's terrible. These people are leeching off the system. But then they go, "Hey, we're going to allow food stamps for dogs." And everyone's like, "Okay, sounds good to me." It's so many resources wasted on these things. I don't know, when people were hoarding toilet paper and I made the comment and said, "Look, hoard all the toilet paper you want. If shit really hits the fan, I'm going to eat you and Fluffy and wipe my ass with you." Okay? So hoard and do whatever you want. This is ridiculous, and our attention is going to the wrong things. I covered that in a video when I was comparing homeless shelters for human versus homeless shelters for dogs. These dog facilities are highly funded. They've got more volunteers than they know what to do with. Okay? People pouring in donations. And then you've got, like, the senior center I go to, they didn't even have enough volunteers. They were struggling just to get food out there to people.
Well, I just recalled something really disgusting. I knew this person, and we were discussing what we were going to do after graduating high school and waiting to get into uni. And she said, "I want to do some volunteer work." So I said, "Oh, that's great. I see my paternal grandparents in the home, and they look kind of sad. I wish I could visit them more, but they are in the next state, so
Right.
can't really see them much." And she said, "Oh no, I don't want to work with old people. Old people are gross. I don't want to wipe their butts." And I was like, "Okay. So what volunteer work do you want to do then?" And she said, "Oh, I want to work with the dogs in the shelter." And my jaw just hit the floor, and it's like, okay, so you don't like washing old people's butts, but you're fine with wading knee deep in dog shit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
okay, then.
That's what we run into here as well. People, and for everybody just to know, you don't have to wipe old people ass. That's for professionals. Really, these people need someone to show up and talk to them and spend time with them and show them that someone cares. And that thought horrifies people too. That's part of the appeal of this dog love culture, is that you've got this thing that can't talk back to you. It's not going to judge. You can be a serial killer and a molester, and the dog will still like you. Okay? Humans need social interaction, and you need to work toward building a relationship with people, socializing with them, and building strong bonds. And we're losing touch with that.
My boyfriend, he said something that really got me thinking. That the world is sick, and not in the way that we've all been saying, but like there's some kind of sickness of humanity, of the soul. I don't believe in the soul and afterlife, but I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
Like we've lost our humanity.
Yes. We are displaced.
We can't see or can't treat very easily.
This is an illness that goes far deeper than what any medication or therapy can take care of. Okay, these people are so sick. I want to say it's mentally, but he's right. It's sickness of the spirit, a sickness of the soul. And we have lost touch with reality and the ability to build these long-lasting... And you know what? Here soon, and it's already happening, we're going to need each other more than we could ever imagine. And we are so far gone. What are these people going to do when a real crisis takes place and they don't even know their neighbors?
Exactly. And you don't even have to look very far. It's, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and what are these people's first concerns? Oh, I'm going to be lonely, so I'm going to get a dog. Instead of, talking to your friends over call or,
Yeah. I mean, heck, look at the way our community reaches out to everyone, and I talk to people from the community on a daily basis since this pandemic has taken place, and I've made some changes in my life. All of the people I used to call my friends, I hardly hear from them anymore, but on a daily basis, when I wake up in the morning and look over at my phone, I've got 3 to 7 text messages from fellow dog haters in my community. If I'm hurt or mention that I had a really shitty week this week, and people are like, man, I hope things got better. How are you doing? Reaching out to me. You and I having this conversation right now, literally from across the dang ocean, and making friends with one another and building a bond. People just don't do that anymore. They can't even do it with their own family members. And God forbid one of those family members were to say something about Fluffy. Then suddenly it's, oh, well, no, I don't talk to my nephew anymore. Well, why? He doesn't like my dog.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't.
They take it to heart when they say, well, if you don't like my dog, I don't like you. It doesn't matter if, you do volunteer work, or if you found a cure to cancer. Oh, you're just immediately a bad person if you don't like dogs.
Yep. IHD had done a live stream yesterday where he's talking about multiple doctors and surgeons that are saying things about dogs. And they're even being careful in their language as they speak about it, because they know they're going to be vilified, even though they save people every single day. But people don't care about people. If this same doctor was standing up saying, I'm a veterinarian and I saved 4 dogs today, they're all going to be applauding him. Now, the house across the street from me, Dog Nuts, their house caught on fire, okay, last week. And there's a bunch of fire trucks, and my son loves firemen, and hey, I was out there checking them out too, right? And so he wanted to go out there, and we're out there, and the first fireman comes over, and he's got this big, he's walking all tough and looking all cool, and he comes over and he's like, yeah, that's right, dog almost died, and I saved him. And I went, ew. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads, because most women would be like, oh, really? You saved Fluffy? No, you're so sexy. I was over here like, ugh. And I go, did you wrench your mouth out? And he goes, what? Yes. And I'm like, And I walked away like this with my hands up, like, ugh. I'm not, don't breathe too close to me. You know what I'm saying? That's disgusting. I've seen that decrepit ass dog that you saved. The thing looks like it carries multiple diseases. You better check yourself out, And he just, and they're so used to being praised for stuff like that. And so after he said that and I was grossed out, I said, are the humans okay? Because even though I'm not a big fan of my neighbors, it doesn't mean I wish ill on my fellow man. And,
yeah, exactly.
and he goes, oh yeah, no, there weren't even any people in the house. And I started laughing because there were four fire engines, 2 ambulances, and the fire chief showed up because of a dog.
What a waste of time and resources.
Resources out the door. And so then the son across the street comes over because he can see I'm concerned, and he's like, oh man, you know, I had to run in the house to find the dog, and my mom would have been so upset, and it took me like 10 minutes to find it, and I was breathing in all this smoke, and I went, honey, you've got to be smart enough to know that you should not be risking your life for a dog. And he also looked at me like I had 3 heads. They want to be praised. They want praise for this. I'm not praising this activity. This is a massive waste of resources, time, ability, efforts. What about people down the road that are suffering? I don't see that many fire engines over a human being hurt.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all they cared about. They kept talking about the dog. Everybody was taking it water. She's sitting on the porch holding the thing, weeping. And her son is walking around with smoke inhalation.
Oh. I feel like I'm getting stupider just from hearing this.
I said that. I said, well, now I can't do math anymore. Because there go half my brain cells. You know, this is the stupidest damn thing I've ever seen. Not to mention, these people are a fire hazard all on their own. They've got junk all around the house, leaning up against the house. And, you know, the fire started because they left the damn stove on and had grease on the stove. Yeah, you know, let's waste a bunch of money saving stupid people's dogs.
What gets me is, what the fuck were the ambulances for? To take the dog to a human hospital? They had all the equipment out to take care of the dog. They had these water things. They had these respirator masks for it. Everybody was over there petting it and stuff. And this stupid little Chihuahua mix, rancid-looking thing is looking around kind of confused. And I said, I wonder if that dog feels the same way as I do right now. Like, you people are all fucking stupid. Their home burnt down, and now they have to move somewhere else. Thank goodness. I'm stoked about that. But, that's what you're worried about? This is the main concern? That many it was insane. And my landlord shows up. He owns all these houses. And we started talking about dogs. He's a dog hater too. I find that the most dog haters are found with lawyers, medical professionals and surgeons, landlords, and lawyers. Okay? Because these people actually have to... The aftermath of these shit beasts.
Right! Especially landlords. Some of the first, forums and conversations that I found as I started to research were landlords talking about how disrespectful these dog owners are. I told the person they weren't allowed to have a dog. We show up to do some maintenance. There's definitely a dog in the house. They just don't care.
It's lucky that we bought our house, so if someone comes in here, wants to buy it, smells it, they can just demolish the place, build a new house. But I have this aunt who has 4 dogs and God knows how many cats. I think it was 12.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes is the word. And she rents. After 4 years, she moves up. And can you imagine, after my aunt has rented the place from the landlord, and it's just it's an olfactory war zone in that house. All sorts of disgusting smells, and she just ups and leaves.
I know someone who does that. A friend of mine's father, he lived in Washington, and we were talking about it because we went over and did some work on a fence for him. And I was complaining because there's so much dog shit in the yard. And they were trying to offer me eggs. And I told my friend, I said, I'm not trying to be rude, but if I take these eggs, I'm not eating them. These chickens are eating off of soil contaminated with dog feces. And he's like, no, I don't blame you. I don't eat them either. And I said, geez, the house stinks. I said, what the heck? He goes, oh no, let me tell you what my dad and his girlfriend do. They have like 3 dogs and a few cats. He's like, they'll stay in a house for 5 to 7 years. They'll rent it or buy it. They've done both. They'll destroy the place and they don't clean up after any of it. And then they go and sell it for far less than its intended value because they destroyed the place. And then they'll move somewhere else and do it all over again. I said, the lengths and the money these people are willing to lose and spend to keep these things around is just, I'll never understand, and I'm glad that I don't.
It boggles the mind, doesn't it? It's not something we mere mortals are meant to understand.
Nope.
No, I don't think even a god could understand these people.
And I had someone point that out. I thought it was a really good, valid point that they made, was that they worship these things to the point that if one is religious, then you would look and say, like, you're not supposed to be worshiping false idols, okay? And that's exactly what they're doing. They hold these fluffies up above their family, their community, their own well-being, and their better interests. They dumb themselves down, and they make our whole species look stupider with every damn foolish word that falls out of their mouths.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we both got dumber just from talking about it.
Sorry, what do you say?
I said we both got stupider just from talking about it.
Yeah. I feel like I've got to go watch a documentary or something to get my brain power up to speed.
Yeah. And often after I do research or interviews on this kind of stuff, or people reach out to me to talk about these kinds of things, I'll do that too. I'll watch a documentary and like just try to unwind, try to let my brain relax and overcome the stupidity I just took in. It's insulting, and I feel so bad because it's the children that suffer, our elderly, and the community as a whole on multiple levels.
I feel really bad for all the kids who are trapped with their parents' dogs but can't say anything. There were actually a few kids like that in a dog-free Discord server I was moderating in, and it's just incredibly sad. It's like they can't go anywhere to avoid the dog because they have to live in this house. They're kids. What are they going to do? They can't leave.
Right. I talk to people all the time, 16, 17, 18 years old, that are like, I even just try to keep my bedroom dog free, and I'll shut the door, and it seems that my parents and siblings intentionally leave the door open so the dog can get into my room, or they try to push and force it on me.
That's a lot.
I know. I hear it way too much. Whatever happened to respect?
I think dog owners are just too much like their dogs. They can't respect boundaries or privacy. They see something, they've got to touch it, no matter what, like a dog, They see something, they've got to put it in your mouth or
smell it, invade its privacy and boundaries. They don't even ask. It's and like you said, they're really just too much like their dogs. They sit there and think that it's all okay and that everybody wants Fluffy on them. It was like when I was walking to my estimate the other day, because the gentleman lives right around the corner. You can almost see his house from mine. And I'm walking over there, and here comes this pug and this other tiny mixed dog. And I said that to the girl, and she was young, so I was polite. She's probably like 16, but I was angry. And I said, look, I know you guys think everyone wants these things running up on them, but I don't. And I don't want to hurt this thing, but I will. Okay, and I only was that nice because she was a child. If this was an adult, my words would have been quite different. But she has definitely been brainwashed and taught by her parents this type of behavior that she's exhibiting. They have obviously, hey, take the dogs outside, or at some point along the line, if you want a dog, you've got to take care of it. Most people don't understand. I've talked to a lot of young people that say, oh, my parents said I could have a dog. I wanted one, of course, because I had been brainwashed into thinking they're great. And then I got one and I realized how disgusting they were. And when they want to get rid of the dog, the parents will take it.
Yeah. And I actually used to walk the dogs, not out of my own choice. My dad would just tell me to do it. And when there was anyone at all walking past, I was ready to be embarrassed because these dogs were huge and they would pull me to that person and sniff that person and jump on that person and rub on that person. And I'll be apologizing profusely, and they say, oh, it's okay, but, it's not okay.
Right. No, it's embarrassing. It's terrible. I've been in that situation a time or two myself, with some of my parents' critters, and, as much as I was basically indifferent to them, and it cracks me up now, thinking back on all the things I've done and all the work I've done with them, and I'm just like, wow, and when I came out publicly as a dog hater, I have friends of mine say, like, it's funny that you are just talking about this, because I always knew you hated dogs. Always knew. And I'm like, well, I always knew too. I just didn't know how much I hated them until I started doing the research and having the issues myself. It really, really sprung to the surface about the time my neighbors were letting their dogs come over and kill all of my livestock and chickens and everything I had going for me that I had spent tons of money and time on and had great care and diligence. And after they started slaughtering everything and I started vocalizing my concerns, they were laughing at me. I thought it was funny. I said, y'all won't be laughing when I end up killing every one of them. Won't be funny then.
Yeah, I've just read so many stories of livestock getting slaughtered by dogs that escaped, neighbors' dogs. And it's always, they don't take a single bite out of anything they kill.
No. No, they do not. No, they do not. They literally just maul and kill it. I've had that happen with chickens more times than I can count. And it's not a coyote or a fox when you come out and find dead chickens and there's not a bite taken out of them.
Yeah, and coyotes, they don't kill multiple and leave them lying around. They kill one and they take it.
Yep, and they get out of there. It's just, I will never understand. And the wildest part to me is how angry they get over what their dog's done, but they directed at you. I have a friend who got a dog a few years back and immediately tells me, I regret every second of this. I should have never done this. And I was like, why don't you just get rid of the damn thing? And he's like, because, I've got it now. It's my responsibility. I'm like, whatever you got to tell yourself. You sound like a domestic violence victim. Oh, well, no, I took the responsibility on. Now I have to take care of him. I mean, shut up. So that same friend is walking this big stupid beast, and a big old pit bull breaks out of a yard and charges him and starts attacking him and his dog. And he goes to start defending himself and hitting the dog, and the owner runs out and grabs the dog. And my friend's standing there going, oh, what the hell, man? And they're like, just go! Just go! Why don't you just go? And he's like, when did I become the bad guy? I'm walking out on a public street. This thing broke out of your yards attacking us. You're screaming and yelling at me. So he calls and turns it in. And it turns out when he starts talking to some of the neighbors, he's one of 7 people that have turned in this one dog. But this is in Washington. And they are they're pet lovers like crazy.
Oh, man.
Can't say a negative thing about a dog there. They'll lose their mind.
So I have 2 stories of the dogs my family has had doing incredibly stupid things. So they're all Goldens, by the way.
Of course.
There's one dog. He likes chasing cars. I don't know what goes on in his tiny little mind that he wants to chase this huge hunk of metal going at a really high speed. But he does it anyway and gets a huge kick out of it. And my dad, he doesn't use leashes. But when I walked them, I had to use a leash. His reasoning behind that was that he's the alpha and they listen to him. No, they don't. So, one day, this dog, it chases the car, and the car, unlike most people, does not stop. Hits the dog. He's on that person, by the way. And the dog has to get stitches all over his leg. Unfortunately, survived and lived to chase cars another day. And these things are so stupid. They don't learn. Oh my God.
You'd think that that they would go like, oh, hey, that hurt, and then I had to have all this surgery. Maybe I should stop chasing these giant pieces of steel and metal and biting them, but they don't learn.
Yeah. And then this other dog, kind of like a half blind, half deaf, half senile, and fully stupid. My dad takes the dog on a walk, and because he doesn't use a leash, he looks away for a second, and the dog's not there, and he starts to panic. And he comes home, and he's all distraught, and we're all like, "What the fuck happened?" We thought something really horrible happened, and he said the dog went missing, and we're like, "Oh."
Did it come back?
Unfortunately, it did.
Of course.
Someone elsewhere in the neighborhood, where we have like some restaurants. So that was pretty far away. Still in the same neighborhood though. They found him. He had just wandered all the way there, and they returned him. And my dad was overjoyed. And my mom was actually like, "Oh, I was really hoping he would get lost forever."
Someone else to take him in or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen this a lot, and I tell people, I'll be going to do jobs, I'll warn them. If you've got a critter, lock it up. I'm not into the critters, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not chasing that thing down the road. And it gets out of the house while we're coming in and out of the door to do whatever it is we're doing, it's just gone. That's your problem. We had this issue take place once. Now, when you're working at people's house, you don't really know them, so generally you're a stranger. And this dog takes off, and we're, scheduled to do work. And the woman is begging us to help catch the dog, and we're all standing there laughing, shaking our heads, like, that's not going to happen, And she's all like, well, then I need you all out of my house until I go get him, because I don't want strangers in my home. And we're all like, we're scheduled to be here to do a job, okay? So it better happen in the next 10 minutes, or we're just not doing the job. We'll have to reschedule with you. If you're not, then just don't even come back. I'll find another company. And we're like, okay, that's cool. I got the day off now, so you enjoy that. She calls me back like a week later because I do super low estimates for the elderly and stuff. I'm trying to help people out. And she calls back and is like, look, I've been trying to get estimates. Everyone's trying to rip me off. If I could just reschedule with you. And I'm like, are you just going to be able to keep that dog under control? Because this can't happen again. You're costing me whole days of work. And I'm not going to continue to do this with you. Have you ever thought that maybe if the dog keeps running away, it doesn't want to be there?
So much for loyal, huh?
That's what I said the other day. So much for damn loyalty. It's like your dad saying that he's the alpha while he's walking this dog that takes off. Yeah, some alpha. Because in a real pack, a dog would never do that to the alpha. Never. I don't know. I'll tell you. This subject is so vast and so mind-blowing. We could talk about it for weeks on end and still be at the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, actually, that is a good idea. Do you think we should do this every week? We don't have a particular topic maybe we do have one, but we don't have to stick to it too strictly, and we just kind of throw our stories back and forth.
I was actually thinking that, and I was also thinking, why don't we give the subscribers and viewers the ability to help choose topics? So if someone chooses a topic, then we'll talk on that, but we're obviously going to tell stories that are related and unrelated and kind of go all over the place, and maybe make it, like an hour or so every week or every 2 weeks, because I know you're about to go back to the university, and I've been doing work. But we can make it, a plan for a certain day of a week that works for you and kind of just keep going back and forth, because people really, really want to hear us as the dog hating community talk about this kind of stuff. It's a lot better than me just sitting there talking to myself reading articles.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a lot better when we interact with each other, we collaborate, because there are a lot of huge communities that do this, and we're pretty small. We don't have that many content creators on our side, so we do what we can.
Right, and I don't know about you, but I have found that when I talk to people about stuff, or they share a story with me, or I go researching, you and I talking, suddenly I start remembering other things, and topics start to make more sense.
So it was really enjoyable talking to you. I like how outspoken you are, and you're really easy to chat with.
I get that a lot. I'm very friendly, and I do not lack social skills. I don't have to fill my time with dogs. I'm very. I love humanity. I love socializing. In multiple topics. I can talk about almost anything. And still be able to carry on the conversation. I've had people sheepishly say, "Oh, well, I don't know, because I'm not a big talker," and I'm like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll help." But yes, it's been a pleasure talking to you too, and I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up and get along with our days, and then you and I can text and talk and figure out what day works best for us, and we can get together and do this more often. I think people would really enjoy it.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Well, I hope.
Talking to you, Ashley.
Pleasure talking to you, Canine Critic, and I hope that you have a wonderful dog-free day, and I look forward to speaking to you in the future.
You too. Take care.
You too, honey. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, that was wonderful. So, you guys, we'll do some more of this, and as we said, I'd love to hear some topic suggestions. And in fact, since we'll be talking for an hour or so longer at a time, multiple topic suggestions don't hurt. In fact, I will probably pull some out of the topic suggestions I already have, and we will put this into the video. We could cover 2, 3, 4, 5 topics at a time, depending on how engrossed we get on one topic. Now, this was our first discussion on the phone, aside from we were already discussing a bunch of things prior. So in the future, I will be pulling up some articles and have some supporting material to go along with it. So thank you, everyone. Fuck Fluffy. You guys check out Canine Critic. I'm going to link her in the descriptions, and I'll also put her in the cards. She's a small channel just starting out, but I love her voice. I love her delivery. She's highly intelligent, very sweet, easy to talk to, and you guys make sure and check her out. I love what she's doing over there, and this is the kind of stuff we need. We need more compassionate, relatable people that aren't judgmental, that can open up, and we need to open up discussion and get people listening to this. When people see me on YouTube, they see it as one bitch that doesn't like dogs. When they see Cooking with Dog Meat and I talking, there's 2 people. You've got her talking, Canine Critic, now we got 3. Right? I want to do a thing with Ban All Dogs soon. That's definitely going to happen. He and I talk on the phone at least every day, every 2 days. Could be a 20-minute conversation, could be a 2-hour conversation. So I'm going to grab one of those conversations and let him know, and we'll get something out about that. And just slowly but surely work at this. And at one point, I would like to get 2 or 3 of us chatting at the same time. I think that would be super, super helpful and great content. Like I said, it's just me sitting there talking to myself and I'm talking to you guys, right? But this would be a real good way for everybody to jump in. Keep all your comments and drama to a minimum, guys. You know, I'm all about free speech here, but I don't want to see any bullying. I don't want to see people pushing people around. Yes, we have some people around that had dogs or have to live with them or do have dogs. We welcome people here. We don't want to just be speaking into an echo chamber. Okay? I don't want to just be talking to myself. We want to reach out. And with that being said, I'm going to work on my language, not so much the cussing, because I'm kind of a cusser, but, you know, I'm going to start trying to dial down a little bit, all right? And not appearing so aggressive and hateful, because that is what happens. And that's all fair enough. I'm plenty hateful toward dogs. You guys don't take it the wrong way. But I want the content to be able to reach people and actually make a difference. And if I'm constantly aggressive and hateful and talking about hurting them all the time and all these jokes and stuff, and I get, you know, it's going to be harder for me to reach out to people. So, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Please go check out Canine Critic. Fuck Fluffy. Protect yourselves. Get your mag lights, wasp and hornet spray. Go to some martial arts classes, some boxing classes. Use the tongue grab technique, guys. I can't tell you how important this is, and I hope I never have to hear from any of you that this happened. But if any of you ever do get bitten, I want to know that you were able to protect yourselves, okay? So, much love from the bottom of my dog-hating heart to yours. Thank you to Canine Critic for the wonderful interview, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. I've got the day off, so unless I find a job I'm going to do, we'll do a Friday Fuck Fluffy Marathon. There I go cussing again. All right, guys, take care.